Hello everyone, Jeff here with you for episode number 18 of the Wednesday Night Wrestling Blitz here on YouTube. This is a GMTE Express add-on. Let's get right into the action here. We'll start with AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite first. It took place from the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. They kicked it off right away with the Tag Team No. 1 Contenders Battle Royal. We had all the tag teams from AEW in the match here, and of course, excluding the AEW Tag Team Champions of Adam Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, who would be in a tag team title match later on in the show. So we get into the match here. Let's just get right down to the end here. We had Matt Jackson left in the match against Santana and Ortiz. The object of the match was for both members of the team to be eliminated, for them to be officially eliminated as a team. It's not just one member of the team causing both the team to be eliminated. So we get down to these three. Sammy Guevara, of course, on the outside, trying to do his thing there to provide distraction. He does, but ultimately Matt Jackson was able to fight out of it. He was ultimately able to eliminate Santana and Ortiz, so Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks gets the win here. So Nick and Matt Jackson will begin in an AEW Tag Team title shot at Revolution. We'll find out who that match is going to be up against here in a little while. Overall, just real quick, I thought the match was fine. It looked good. Wasn't a big fan of the outside interference throughout the match. And yes, people will note as the match was going on that Raven was in the crowd there. Some people were saying maybe he's going to be the exalted one for the Dark Order. I just don't see that. Apparently, he lives in the Atlanta area, and I think he was just there visiting. He's friends with Diamond Dallas Page, who was there as well. So, I would be very shocked at Raven if Raven is the one to be revealed to be the exalted one. I still think it's Matt Hardy, but we'll see where that goes. Next up, we had women's action here. We had Chris Statlander taking on Shanna here. We had Britt Baker out for commentary. I thought she was actually pretty good on commentary. Her and Tony Schiavone, they were pretty good here, I thought. They seemed to have this good rapport with one another. I actually didn't find it to be that bad. I actually was kind of entertained. She wasn't really overly heel here. I thought she was kind of even throughout this. And the woman himself, I thought, had a great match here. Women's match for the second week in a row here on television looked pretty good. They went back and forth. Ultimately, in the end, Chris Statlander, as you figured she would, she won the match. She won with her variation of the package, Tombstone Power Driver. So, Chris Statlander gets a big win here over Shanna, who looked pretty good here. Tony Schiavone was on stage to interview AEW Women's Champion Nyla Rose, who said that winning the belt was justice because she should have been the first Women's Champion. That's a shoot, by the way. And her face should be on all the posters and all the memorabilia, she said. She said that Rio may be brave, but Nyla represents power. Statlander, who we just saw in the last match, came out and acted like she was going to go after Nyla Rose here, and then she went and looked at the title, tried to go after the title here. Big Swole then came out and got in Nyla's face as well, and then all the officials from the back came out to keep a potential brawl from starting here. So obviously, they're trying to give Big Swole the push here, and we'll see where it goes. So, I think with her getting involved here, you got to think she's going to get herself into the title picture. And where's that live Britt Baker? Where's she at in all of this? So we know she's involved as well. Next match on the card here, we had Jon Moxley taking on Jeff Cobb. Of course, Jeff Cobb we saw last week debut for the company here with the Inner Circle here. They have the match. It's a good match. Crowd definitely invested into it. It looks like at points Cobb's going to win the match, but Moxley ultimately won here. He beat Cobb clean, no outside interference from anyone during the match. He beat him on a small package. Afterwards, Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Jake Hager all did a beatdown on Moxley. Dustin Rhodes came out to try to make the save. He got beaten down, and then we saw Darby Allin actually make his return back to television here. He came out to take care of business with his skateboard and send the Inner Circle packing here. So, I understand they had that Moxley win to keep him looking strong heading into that match with Jericho Revolution for the title. But this was Jeff Cobb's first match here on television, and you beat him clean. I don't get that. I don't know why he had to do that. I would rather, I think in this situation, I would rather have had them go for like a DQ finish. I know it's kind of lame, but I think that way you kind of protect him a little bit. I just didn't like the idea of having him beat in this first match here. We had that AEW Tag Team title match that happened next. We had Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page defending the titles against the Lucha Bros here. This was a good match. Outstanding stuff here. Both teams had a chance to shine here. Ultimately, in the end, Omega and Hangman Page won and retained the titles after Page pinned Phoenix after they had the team there had hit the buckshot V-trigger combo. So we now know at AEW Revolution will be Omega and Page defending those titles against the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks did come out here. A little bit of tension there. So we have the members of the Elite here involved in the AEW Tag Team title match at Revolution. I say what you want about it. It should be a good match, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. We had a video segment introducing the upcoming AEW action figures that are going to be coming out. We saw the Young Bucks, Omega, Jericho, and Cody and Brandi Rhodes. I'll get a look at their prototype action figures here. All of them seem to enjoy it, so they have that. And also, it's been announced now that there will be a new AEW podcast. It's going to be hosted by Tony Schiavone and referee Aubrey Edwards. Are going to be hosting this new podcast, so that's something that's going to be coming out here in the near future. So that could be worth a listen. We'll have to see. Your main event for the night here was the much hyped up steel cage match. We had Cody Rhodes taking on Wardlow. Of course, Cody was out there with his wife Brandi Rhodes, who's no longer doing the Nightmare Collective stuff, so I guess she's a babyface again. And Arn Anderson, his coach or his manager, whatever you want to say, his not necessarily protege, but you get the idea. They were out there in Cody's corner. Of course, Wardlow was out there with MJF. MJF was out there in his corner. They have the match. It's a TV cage match. It's a good match. The cage looks pretty good itself. It goes about 15 minutes. Cody, at one point during the match, gets busted open. Not sure if it was either hard way with the cage or if he bladed. I couldn't tell. I believe they tried to make it look like it was the cage, but again, I couldn't tell. So we'll see. Anyways, so Cody's got color in the match here. They have the match. Wardlow dominates for a while. They do a spot a couple of times on the outside with MJF and Arn Anderson, with Arn Anderson getting the upper hand on MJF. And ultimately, in the end, Cody Rhodes goes up to the top of the cage and hits this big moonsault off the top of the cage. It caught Wardlow barely, but it caught him enough, and he got the pin on it and got the win, as he should have. So Cody Rhodes gets a big win here. As they go off the air, he's standing on top of the cage, and we see Wardlow and MJF watching from the stage powdering. So obviously they're setting up that Cody Rhodes MJF match for Revolution, as Cody has run the gambit. So that's what we have there. So that was AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite. It took place from the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's get on to NXT. Of course, it took place from Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. It opened up with the Undisputed Era coming to the ring and Adam Cole boasting about retaining the NXT title at TakeOver Portland. When he mentioned the upcoming Roderick Strong Velveteen Dream match that's going to happen later on, we saw Dream's graphic appear on the screen, and he challenged Roderick Strong to leave the rest of the Undisputed Era out of their match and proved that he is a man of his word. Strong said on behalf of his family he would make Dream's wish that he had never come back. So we have that match coming up at the end of the show. Your opening match here was for the NXT Cruiserweight title. We had Jordan Devlin, the champion, taking on Lio Rush. This was a very, very good match. Good stuff here from both these guys. A lot of back and forth action. They gave this match plenty of time. Ultimately, in the end, it saw Jordan Devlin retaining the title. He overcame a late run by Lio Rush to almost win the title back. Jordan Devlin ultimately won by hitting the Devlin slide for the win and retaining here. So that was the right move. No reason to take the title off from this early. It was a very good match. In a backstage interview that happened next, we saw Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai declare themselves as an untouchable team, so it looks like a new tag team faction perhaps. Gonzalez says that sitting in the performance that are watching others get opportunities, she understood how Dakota Kai had felt pushed aside by Tegan Nox. Dakota Kai went on to say that Gonzalez proved at TakeOver that she has her back. William Regal then walked up while this was going on, and he says that in 2 weeks, Dakota Kai will face Tegan Nox in a steel cage match with no outside interference. So they're going to do another Dakota Kai Tegan Nox match. I'm okay with that. That should be good action there, and obviously they're doing a deal here by promoting this ahead of time so you can get in people's minds about that match. We had Austin Theory. He was out for an upcoming match against an unknown here. He's getting ready for his match. He's interrupted by Tommaso Ciampa entering to the ring here. He did not have his music here. He's out to cut a promo on Johnny Gargano. Tommaso Ciampa said in order to get his life back, there needed to be no Johnny Gargano in NXT. And Austin Theory did attack Tommaso Ciampa, and then Tommaso Ciampa pretty much had his way and laid waste to Austin Theory. So we had that. Next match on the card, we had the Grizzled Young Veterans. That's James Drake and Zach Gibson taking on Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde here. It's a short match. The Grizzled Young Veterans win here in the end. They hit the Ticket to Mayhem for the win, so they get a nice win here in a relatively short match. The Broserweights, that's Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle, your Dusty Cup winners and your new tag team champions, entered the ring, and they cut a promo about their TakeOver Tag Team title win, including Matt Riddle saying that the Dusty Classic Trophy, quote, partied too hard and was suspended for a wellness policy violation. Oh, I just love that. Obviously, talking about what's been going on lately with talents in WWE. So the Broserweights, Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle, they had a match here against Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch in non-title action here. It's a good match. Really nothing wrong with it. Good action here. Ultimately, the NXT Tag Team Champions were able to win here, and they won in the end. After a hard-fought match in non-title action, but they won nevertheless in the end. Backstage, we saw Roderick Strong tell the members of the Undisputed Era not to get involved in the match with Velveteen Dream. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We'll see what happens there. We had Keith Lee out for a match here. He's taking on Kona Reeves. It doesn't go very long. It's a squash here. Keith Lee looks very strong here. He wins with the Big Bang Catastrophe in seconds to get a win. Afterwards, Dominic Dijakovic came to the ring and told Keith Lee he's not ready to move on just yet, and he almost had beat him at NXT TakeOver Portland. Keith Lee says the fans want to see them fight forever. The fans do a fight forever chance. So if Dijakovic can get William Regal to make the match, which we know is going to happen, he will put the North American title on the line against Dijakovic in a rematch. So I wouldn't mind another Keith Lee dominated Dijakovic match. They had a great match at TakeOver Portland. I think they'll have another great match. Next match, we had women's action. We had Chelsea Green, of course, with Robbie E. Robert Stone, taking on Kaden Carter. This is a return match from a couple of weeks ago when Kaden Carter beat Chelsea Green to get her first NXT television win here. So not much to the match. The best part of the match is when Bianca Belair just came into the ring and cut a promo on Charlotte Flair as the match was going on, challenging her to a match. So this pretty much tells me we're going to get a triple threat match for the NXT Women's title at WrestleMania with Rhea Ripley defending it against Charlotte and Bianca Belair. It's the only way they got to go at this point, I think. So once Bianca Belair leaves, they start the match up again, and then ultimately Chelsea Green got her win back here, so 50-50 booking after she hit Kaden Carter with the unprettier for the win here. So 50-50 booking on display in a match that, for the most part, really wasn't all that great. We see for next week's programming, we have Tommaso Ciampa taking on Austin Theory. That was as a result of what happened earlier in the show. And the return of Finn Balor was advertised for next week's program as well. Your main event for the night had Velveteen Dream taking on Roderick Strong here. The match is fine. Ultimately, the Undisputed Era does come out to get involved in the match, and Velveteen Dream eventually took off his jumpsuit to reveal the tights of Marina Shafir on his front side and his back side before hitting Roderick Strong and the rest of the Undisputed Era with a crossbody on the outside. Afterwards, Velveteen Dream did hit Roderick Strong with the Dream Valley Driver to get the win here. Afterwards, the Undisputed Era came in for a beatdown attack on Velveteen Dream to leave him laying as they posed to go off the air. So that was NXT that took place from Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. Before we give you my pick of the week, I don't have the numbers in for AEW and NXT. They were not out yet as of the time I'm recording. They've been a little bit delayed because of the holiday this week. I'm going to imagine that AEW won again for the week, so if that's the case, I'm thinking they did, because I thought they had a pretty good show, and I think viewers were tuning in for that cage match. So I'm thinking AEW won, so if they did, they lead 16 weeks to 3 weeks for NXT and the 1 tie. And so that's what we have there. Let me just very quickly go over the Monday Night Raw ratings. We got them, and they were delayed because of the holiday. Monday Night Raw was up to 2.44 million viewers on average, and that is up from last week's 2.34 million viewers, so they did 100,000 more viewers here. The first hour did 2,671,000 viewers. The second hour did 2,559,000 viewers, and the final hour did 2,082,000 viewers. There was a 22% drop between the first and third hours. They were up from the first and second hours from last week. They were down in the third hour from last week. They did a 0.79 average in the 18 to 49 money demo. That is down from last week's 0.80, so just down by 1/100 of a point here. They were number 1, number 2, and number 4 for the night in the 18 to 49 demo with a 0.87, 0.82, and 0.68 respectively for the 3 hours in succession. Their biggest numbers, again, continue to be males 18 to 49, and they did pretty well again in people 25 to 54, and their biggest number still was people 50 plus. That's where they're doing their biggest numbers. So that's what we had as far as the Monday Night Raw ratings. My pick of the week for AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite and WWE NXT. AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite is my pick of the week. I thought they were just a better show. Obviously, the big arena setting here, I think, helped. The cage match, I thought, was pretty good. 15 minutes, it was fine. I thought, they from start to finish, he just had the better show, the better action. NXT, there was really not a whole lot wrong with NXT. I mean, I don't know. It was. I thought the matches were okay, but it just felt like something was missing. It was missing a spark there. I don't know what it was. I heard some people say it was kind of boring. I don't know if it was necessarily boring or not, but I don't know. It seemed like there was a spark missing. So, but I thought the matches were fine, but I thought AEW had the better action overall. So they are my pick of the week. So through 18 episodes, I have NXT with 11 picks and AEW with 7 picks. Let me know down in the comments section below what your favorite moment from Wednesday's wrestling action was. We'll see you the next time with the next episode of the Wednesday Night Wrestling Blitz here on YouTube. Bye for now, everyone.